All right, here we go. Everyone's coming in now. Welcome, everyone, for my favorite time of the week. We are getting closer to NFL Sunday. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. You know, I always wait to the last minute to do my start sits. Why? Because I care. I don't understand these analysts that do start sits on Monday, Tuesday, even Wednesday when they don't even start practicing till Wednesday. And there's always stuff that comes up, which is why I wait to the last minute because I want to give you the best. I want to research. And I found some pretty nice gems because not only are we going to cover starting sits, but also some, dart flex plays, DFS plays. I want you guys, I know a lot of you guys are into DFS, which, by the way, if you are into DFS, if you are into sports betting, I have two affiliations. I'm very, very picky who I do my affiliations with, but these two I absolutely love. I play, I win money in them. If you guys want to participate, one is Drafters. They actually do drafting every single week. So you draft players that week. You could go head to head, which is what I like to do because I feel nobody could beat me, which is what I've been doing. I've been winning like $1,000 each week, or no, 500 each week, going head to head. You could do a bigger pool for more money, and they have even a free one. If you go to drafters.com, use my promo code FFRapper, you can enter a free drawing for a Saquon Barkley jersey. I'm even in that one because I love Saquon. So do that. And then the other one I have an affiliation with is Drafters and Best Draft. Sorry, it's Best Ball, but they also do weekly betting head to head, but their format's a little bit different. The leagues are a little bit smaller, but both promo codes are FFRapper. And the best part about this, guys, I'm going to help you win money. If you use my promo code, I will show you my lineups and help you win money. Yes, I back my stuff up. There's people that tell you use my promo code, but is there anybody helping you? No. If you use my promo code, I help you. Help you win money, guys. What's better than that? So anyway, without further ado, let's get into this, guys, because there's some exciting games. All right, we'll begin with the least exciting game. It's the Bengals and the Bills, the two Bs. Okay, so this game, it's at Buffalo. Tyler Boyd has been on fire. It's at Buffalo, but John Ross will likely be covered by Tre'Davious White since he'll be the outside receiver. John Ross has been amazing, by the way, but I would not start him this game, which means Tyler Boyd will not be covered by Tre'Davious White. And Crowder chewed up this defense from the slot. Very good defense. Going to be hard for Tyler Boyd to get a score, but he's going to get a ton of targets. They have to throw to somebody because Tre'Davious White's going to be on Ross, so probably not going to be him. So Tyler Boyd is still a must start despite Buffalo being an amazing defense. Buffalo's also a good start in defense. Cincinnati's got a banged up offensive line. Buffalo's got a good pass rush, good secondary. I could definitely see some sacks and possible turnovers from Andy Dalton. So, Buffalo's a good start. I really like Joe Mixon. I really do. You see, a lot of people look at, the box score. Joe Mixon has been horrible. But the important thing is I looked at the game and he had that burst. There was a couple of big plays he had that were called back because of penalties, and he looked good. That's the most important thing to me. I look at two things, guys. I look at volume, and I look, what is that player playing at their full capacity? Furthermore, Joe Mixon was not on the injury report. So no worries about the ankle. Yes, he's playing behind a banged-up offensive line, but Buffalo, as good as they are in the secondary, they could be had against the run. They could be had against pass-catching backs because, again, the ball's got to go somewhere. Le'Veon Bell had a day on Buffalo and Crowder. So I like Boyd. I like Mixon. I think Mixon's going to surprise people. If he doesn't, then I might start getting a little worried. But I really like Mixon because the volume will be there. Keep this in mind too, guys. Last week, he only played 50% of the snaps. I expect that to go up this week. Plus, I don't think Buffalo's offense is as dynamic as San Francisco's. So, but we'll see. With that said, I do think you should start pretty much everybody in Buffalo. Josh Allen, one of my favorite quarterbacks this week, should be a top 5 play. Somebody you guys know I've been really, really high on. You saw what Jimmy G did to Cincinnati last week after looking absolutely horrendous against the Bucs. So, plus they don't have Devin Singletary. So I expect Josh Allen to maybe get a couple of more carries this game and show us a little more in the run game. With that said, I could see Frank Gore getting a cheap touchdown. He's not a must start. A lot of people are, really excited about Gore, but Gore's up there in age. I still don't have that much confidence to start him. Maybe, start him against, your good players. I do think he garners flex consideration. I do think he could get in the end zone this game, but, he's still 35 or whatever. John Brown, I could definitely see him beating this secondary for a long one. He's been getting some deep. And I do think even Cole Beasley, based on volume, garners flex consideration in this game, depending on, how crappy your teams are. I know none of my followers would ever be starting Cole Beasley, but there's not everybody has followed me from the beginning, and some of you guys have shaky lineups, unfortunately. So, yeah, you're pretty much starting everybody in Buffalo. The next not so exciting game is Dolphins and the Cowboys. This should be interesting at least. At least we got something to look forward to in regards to the Dolphins. They got a new quarterback, Josh Rosen. I don't know how much better he's going to look than Fitzpatrick, but he might be a little more secure with the ball because Fitzpatrick, this guy has been a career backup, but for some reason he thinks he's Aaron Rodgers, and that leads to turnovers because he has looked good. He'll get some of those throws, but he also gives some away. As we saw last year, New England had like 37 points, depending on the league you were. It was ridiculous. There's a lot of people that lost some games because of the New England defense and won some money because of them as well. Devontae Parker is going to be matched up on Byron Jones, which means Preston Williams, surprisingly, has been a really – I'm not going to say really good, but he's been solid. He's got double-digit points 2 straight weeks. For an undrafted rookie on a bad team like Miami against 2 of the top defenses, that's the other thing we got to consider, guys, is Miami the first 2 weeks, Baltimore and New England, 2 of the toughest defenses without their left tackle. Everybody's banged up. Albert Wilson's gone. So, oh, by the way, Kalen Ballage, if any of you guys got Kalen Ballage, please just dump him. But with that said, last week Drake got 6 targets, showed a little bit of life. Again, it was against New England, so we got to give him a pass. Now, Drake looked horrible last year. Remember that? And everybody's dropping him or trading him, myself included. I didn't drop him. I think I traded him. And then he turned it on. And ended up being the 14th best running back in PPR. So you Drake holders, we do have him in the Fantasy Football Throne. That's a followers league on Instagram. If you're wondering what that is, I'm giving him one more week because Dallas is not as good as Baltimore or New England. He did get 6 targets last week. Kalen Ballage is horrible. They got a new quarterback in, so I'm going to give Drake one more week. One more week, he could be a sneaky play, especially since we saw him get 6 targets. But Preston Williams. Because, again, Parker, he's not that great to begin with. Matched up against Byron Jones. Dallas is going to blow him out just like every team blows him out. So Preston Williams could be a sneaky play because they're going to be throwing just like Drake could be a sneaky play for the same reason. Plus, Dallas got a good pass rush, so they might just avoid and, give him a little dumps here and there. In the case of Dallas, kind of like Buffalo, you're like starting everybody. Dak Prescott's a great start. Zeke, obviously. Amari Cooper's probably the least one I'm excited with because he'll probably be locked down by Xavier Howard, which means Cobb could be a really good play. Miami's been torched out of the slot. That's how AB got all his points in one game he played. They did line AB up in the slot. New England did, even though that's usually Julian Edelman's. That's why I was really worried. I'm glad, they cut New England, because then what are we playing for here? New England's got like an all-time great defense, and then you just put Antonio Brown on their team. So, yeah, glad he's cut. But with that said, Cobb could be a sneaky play, and Devin Smith. I think he caught like 3 balls for like 70-something yards, but he's more of a home run hitter, which means he has a low floor. But for a DFS dart, if you want to throw him in there, it is Miami. I could definitely see the possibility of him beating them for a deep one. But out of those two, Devin Smith and Cobb, I do like Cobb a little bit more, because I think he'll have a little more volume than Devin Smith, who is pretty much deep there. Even Tony Pollard might garner flex consideration, but only in the deepest of deepest leagues. Most of you guys are not that desperate, I hope. Broncos and Packers. Now here we got a game. Finally, 2 clunkers, Broncos and Packers. I like a lot of players this game. Denver is a very good defense at home. Denver is a very suspect defense on the road. So I love, you guys know how I always like getting you these, the players that nobody talks about, the ones you only hear here. You know who I love this week? If you're a gambler, or maybe you got him on your team, is MBS. This is such an MBS game, because he's going to be matched up against Isaiah Yide. I can't even pronounce his name, but he's trash. Devontae Adams will probably be shadowed by Chris Harris. Now, Devontae Adams is a must start. Like, there's no shutdown corners. Contrary to popular belief, guys, there's no shutdown corners. So you're still starting Devontae Adams, but MVS, super cheap on DFS, and he could definitely be your flex. I love MVS this week. Being at home, Rodgers, quarterbacks are more loose. I mean, Rodgers is Rodgers, but, just in general, teams tend to take more risk at home. They're more comfortable. That's why if you're ever torn between 2 quarterbacks, take the one at home. Always take the one at home. So I love MVS, Devontae Adams. Aaron Jones, not the best matchup, but you're playing him. But MVS, moral story, MVS. Broncos. I have a feeling Royce breaks out this game. I really do. Cooked them week 1. David Montgomery only had 6 carries, but he showed some signs. Tariq Cohen killed them in the passing game week 1, the Packers. And Philip Lindsay and Freeman each had 7 targets in week 2. So they're going to be used in the run game and pass game. So I think Lindsay's a good play here too, but Freeman has looked better. Freeman has looked like the better pass catcher. He's already the better runner. He's big. He's physical. He's averaging over 5 yards a carry, while Lindsay's averaging under 4. And Lindsay's bobbled a couple of throws, and you need good hands, because Flacco's looked horrible. And that's what made me impressed with Freeman, because those horrible throws, Freeman's like diving. He's got a dive for him, but he's making them, while they're going off Lindsay's hands for some of them. So love Freeman. Lindsay also garners flex consideration. And a lot of people don't know this. I saw a stat. Don't know what the exact stat was, but Denver has been one of the offenses running the most plays in the entire NFL. Top 10, maybe top 5. Don't quote me on that. So Green Bay is going to score at home, because Denver's defense ain't the best at home. And Denver's already been running the most plays. You see where I'm going with this? And Green Bay's defense a little shaky. Now, Green Bay's defense secondary, they've been arguably the best. They make Kirk Cousins look like an undrafted free agent. So I like both running backs. With that said, Sanders has been on fire. You almost got to start him. Sutton is such a talent. I got no problem with you guys starting Sutton, because even in a tough matchup with Chicago, he made some big plays. Only had 7 points. But what I like about it is even in the toughest of toughest games, he still didn't get 0. I guess that's not much to say, but he's looked the part, and I love his talent. So if you want to consider Sutton at flex, That's cool, but it's all about the two running backs. Those are my favorite in this game. Falcons and Colts. Colts defense has been really, really good. They really surprised me. They're a tough team. Like, they don't lay an egg. They don't make it easy for you. They've been in both of their games. They're 1-1. And yeah, I do like the Colts defense, so I'm not crazy about Matt Ryan this game. If you got him, you drafted him to be your starter. So I do think he has a decent floor, but I don't think this is a particularly blow. Every game the Colts have been in has been kind of tight, been kind of close. Ridley, I don't think you could sit Ridley right now with that said. He's been really, really good. 6 targets and 10 targets, and he's just looked apart. 6 targets against Minnesota in a game that Matt Ryan struggled. Very tough game on the road. Still came through with a touchdown. Last week against Philly, who everybody torches, but he had 10 targets and a touchdown. So really he's pretty much a must start, except for some of you guys, which, by the way, you piss me off. You people that might be listening, you're in the Facebook group, and I hate you guys. You're like, who should I start? Should I sit Boyd, Kupp, or Ridley? Like, you guys got some really issues. Like, I hate that. Like, to me, I'm telling everybody Boyd's a must start, Kupp's a must start, Ridley, but you guys got all of them. Kudos to you. But I kind of hate you at the same time. So yeah, Julio is starting, Ridley is starting. But nobody did. Okay, this is a sneaky play. If you got Ito Smith, if you're desperate for a flex, the Colts can be had against pass catching backs. And Freeman, guys, I told you not to draft him. He looks horrendous. And this is why I told you guys how to draft him. He's not the pass catching back. It's a passing team. They said they wanted to use a goal line back. He's small, he's injury prone, and he's looked droppable. If he doesn't produce this game, he is droppable. I don't care that his name is Devontae Freeman and he was good 3 years ago. Who cares? This is the NFL, guys. You could be great one year and fall off the cliff the next. It's true. So, yeah, Ito Smith is a sneaky play, sneaky flex if you're desperate. The Colts, you're starting TY. That's it. You're starting Mac. He's at home. If he plays, he's been nursing an injury. Other than that, that's it on the Colts side of the ball. And now for the game of the week. Now, there's really not much to say here, guys. It's the Ravens. It's the Chiefs. You're starting everybody. Sammy Watkins will be probably matched up against Marlon Humphreys. Not the best matchup, but again, it's Patrick Mahomes. He will throw you open. Even though Sammy Watkins stunk it up week 2, he had 13 targets. So even in a tough matchup, the volume is obviously going to be there, which means he's pretty much a must start unless you got, unless you're one of my followers in the Facebook group and you got this gangster team with Cooper Kupp, Tyler Boyd, Juju, Chris Gaia. But most of you guys will be starting Sammy Watkins. Now here's where it gets tricky. Mecole Hardman and Demarcus Robinson, they're kind of boom or bust. They could have a good game, they could have a bad game. Because they just don't get a ton of targets. They're more big play receivers. Well, guess what? Baltimore doesn't give up a lot of big plays. So I don't consider them a must start. I think they're startable. I think they have a chance to be decent. And because Mahomes is so great, they probably have a decent floor. They could probably each get double digits. However, be aware that this might be a sloppy game because it's supposed to pour. But you know how the weather is. That's today. It could be bright and sunny tomorrow. So keep an eye on the weather reports and let that be the determining factor if you start Mecole Hardman or Demarcus Robinson. So neither one is a must start. Darwin I love. But Darwin still, to me, is a stash back. A lot of people are excited about him. He does have tremendous talent, but he's a stash back right now because how can we know we can trust Andy Reid? He's one of those coaches that he doesn't always do the logical thing, kind of like Bill Belichick. So logic would say Damian Williams is out. You know they're going to use multiple backs. well, again, it's Andy Reid. We don't know. But I would assume, being that even McCoy was banged up and he's 31, that they will use another back. But we can't automatically assume it will be Darwin. It could be Darrell Williams because he's a veteran. He's looked good at times as well. And, maybe they use 3. And, I just have a tough time believing Darwin is going to get more than 10 touches this game. Unfortunately, as much as we all like him, I think Darwin still at this particular moment, and I mentioned in another live that there are 4 stash backs that I will be trying to get in all leagues. Darwin, Madison, Ty Johnson, and Jalen Samuels are my 4 must-have. Like, if your bench has those 4 guys, and if you could maneuver around buys with a starting lineup, you're going to have a winning team. That's actually what I did in one of my leagues. I don't have Jalen, but I have the other 3, and I have a gangster team. But that's besides the point. But that's kind of the way you want your bench to be. You don't need more than 1 or 2 extra receivers. Some of you guys got 3 quarterbacks, a backup tight end. Guys, there's not even 5 good tight ends, and you got a backup for what? So, yeah, with that said, that's your goal, but temper expectations for Darwin. If you want to shoot him as a flex, but he does have a very, very low floor, being that we don't know how Reed's going to use him, and it's Baltimore. Baltimore's good defense. And then the Ravens, Lamar's on fire, so obviously you're starting him. Should be a high-scoring game as long as the weather doesn't get too crazy. Mark Andrews is the one I really like here. Really like Mark Andrews here because it's going to be a high-scoring game. That's a security blanket. He's looked good. So Mark Andrews is an awesome play, still really cheap in DFS as well. And then, Hollywood Brown. How do you not play Hollywood Brown? 13 targets. That's crazy because usually speed guys, they don't get that type of volume. And the dude's small. I think he's like 5'11", like 180, but he's lightning fast, great separation. He's a playmaker. So you're starting him. Ingram, I'm not a big Ingram guy. Somebody asked me in the private Facebook group, which, by the way, guys, it's only $10. This is the last week I'm doing it because you know what? If after or you got till next week, because if you go 0-3, if you go 0-4, you're done, and I don't want that type of negativity in my group. Plus, it's getting too big to handle. So last chance, only $10. If you don't do it, I don't know what you're doing with your life. So Mark Ingram, going back to Ingram, he's not an RB2 in my opinion. And I said this early on. Like when they first signed him. Not an RB2 for me. I created 3-headed monster. I want 3 top 15 backs on my team. You get that with 3 stash backs, you win your league, period. It's a proven system. I just summed up my book in 10 seconds. But Ingram deserves flex consideration in a high-scoring game. And actually, he could be an RB2 this game if the weather is as crazy. When it gets sloppy, when it gets muddy, when it gets rain, that's such an advantage for the running backs. Defenders are sliding all the way. So he has flex to RB2 consideration, considering, taking the weather in consideration. Raiders and Vikings. At Minnesota, this could get ugly. Waller's the only one I really trust. It's not a good matchup for Jacobs. They haven't really been using him in the passing game. So Minnesota, despite what Aaron Jones did to them last week, and they'll probably be even more pumped this week because of that, playing at home, Jacobs is not a particularly good play. If you have him, you play him because, again, we saw last week, talent over everything. Jones wasn't a particularly good play, and I told you guys to play him because talent sometimes will take you there. So I'm playing Jacobs, but I consider him more as a flex this week. And then Waller's a really good play because Tyrell will probably be locked up with Xavier Rhodes. So Tyrell Williams, he's a dark flex. He should get decent volume because Minnesota, I don't know. You think they're going to put up points at home, but Cousins and that offense, it's all about Cook. And surprisingly, this is going to be the real test, though. I'm really curious about this game because Oakland has really been good at stopping the run. But that zone blocking scheme is almost, indefensible. So it's going to be a battle of the trenches. Oakland's stout run defense, it feels weird saying that considering how bad they were the last few years, against that zone scheme and Dalvin Cook. That's where the game's to be won. With that said, I think Oakland not will shut down Cook, but I think they'll contain him, which means that I think Diggs and Thielen could both have good games. It's going to be interesting to see. I think Oakland could really be had in out of the slot, so this could be a big Thielen game, but I also think it could be a big Diggs game. So, and it could be both. It could be both. But I like Minnesota's receivers more than I'm going to like them in other games because it's obviously a run offense. So Waller in Oakland is a good start. Minnesota's receivers, temper expectations for Cook. Obviously, if you have him, you're starting him. But it's going to be curious to see if they contain him. Will they include Cook more in the passing game? Because so far they haven't. But he's not really throwing any passes. Jets and Patriots. Jeez. I feel bad for whoever paid money to watch that game. Robbie Anderson going against Stephen Gilmore with the third-string quarterback. Robbie Anderson's going to be dropped in a lot of leagues, and I'm telling you right now, we're being proactive. Even though this is a start and sit show, giving you some extra credits here. Pick up Anderson. Once Darnold comes back, I think a lot of people are going to be dropping Anderson, and because he's going to have another bad game probably, and then the Jets have a bye. So whoever has Anderson, they're like, damn, 3 stinky games, and I got to wait for him on a bye. I can't afford to do this. I need players. Drop. Pick him up. Or trade for him on the cheap. Robbie Anderson still, to me, is going to be close to the top 15 receiver. Once Darnold comes back, really like Anderson. That's, you could get him for peanuts. So being a little proactive there, but not this week. Bell, not a particularly good game this week either. But you're playing him, obviously. But temper expectations. Bell has not looked good running the ball. And New England, what they do best is stop your best player. Well, that's pretty easy when the Jets don't really have much. So Bell is not a particularly good start. On the Patriots side of the ball, everybody. James White. I really think Gordon might have a really good game. Gordon's somebody I would be looking to sell high on. A lot of people drafted Gordon for some reason in the 5th, 6th round, which I thought was ridiculous. Then the sentiment was down. We saw what AB did last week. So I think psychologically people are like, wow, AB tore it up. Gordon had a pretty good first game. AB's gone. And they're kind of putting Gordon on that AB pedestal. He's not. Sell high on Gordon. And you could even sell. I wouldn't wait to sell high on him. But this is a good game for him. If you can sell him now, sell him now. That's fine. But he could let you down. But I think this is a Gordon game. I love Julian Edelman in this game. And even Philip Dorsett garners flex consideration and could be a DFS dart. So pretty much I like all Patriots. You know who I don't like? Sony Michel. And this looks like such a Sony Michel game. So did last week. 21 carries, 85 yards. The touchdown saved him. Without the touchdown, he gets 8 points. With the touchdown, he got 14 points in the easiest matchup. The Patriots also lost their left tackle, Isaiah Wynn. And the offensive line wasn't really good to begin with. So I don't like Sony Michel. If you got him, you could play him because it's the Jets, and it just makes sense. They're playing at home. They're going to be up big. He's been getting a lot of carries, but it's not been producing. So, yeah, I would try to sell Sony Michel, man. If you guys got him, I hope none of you got him because he was on my bust list, but temper expectations, even though it should be a great game for Sony, but offensive line. Lions and Eagles, very, very interesting too, because I have some carry-on shares. I have quite a few carry-on shares. He was one of the players I was really high on, and unfortunately, he's been so far underwhelming because 12 carries last game. He's had 2 of the easiest matchups, Arizona, but maybe Arizona's pretty good against the run because they were horrible last year, and they're actually one of the best this year. So I don't know, but it seemed like an easy matchup. Darrell Bevel, all about the run, but he hasn't been 12 carries, and he's not getting much work in the passing game. However, 2 of Philadelphia's linemen are down, which is Malik Jackson, which he hasn't played this year anyway, and they were still stout against the run. But now they have another defensive tackle, Jurgen. He's down. He's out. So on paper, it makes sense. Kerryon could have a good game. But sometimes it's not always about the players, guys. And this is what you guys got to realize. Sometimes it's about the system. Philadelphia has a good system at stopping the run. So I wouldn't automatically assume that because they're down 2 tackles that Kerryon's going to run wild. But it's a possibility. I would just temper expectations. For me, I'm actually starting Royce Freeman over Kerryon until I see more, because Kerryon is the starter, right? But Freeman's getting more touches and he's splitting time 50-50, which is why I tell you guys that snaps sometimes are overrated. Freeman got over 10 carries and 7 targets. He had like 11 carries and 7 targets. That's 18 touches. Kerryon had 12 carries and I think 2 or 3 targets. So even in a 50-50 split, Freeman's getting more work, has looked better, averaging 5 yards per carry, Kerryon under 4, in tougher matchups against Oakland, Chicago. So I'm starting Freeman. However, I'm just telling you that Kerryon, I am concerned. Out of all the players that I really like this season, he has my concern the most. But maybe Bevel is easing him in there. Maybe since they dropped C.J. Anderson, it's because they want to give Kerryon more touches. But one guy I am falling in love with is Ty Johnson, because he has looked good, and he might fit that system a little better. Remember, this regime drafted Ty Johnson, not Kerryon Johnson. This is the first year. First year. This is the coaching staff's first year. He fits that scheme to a T because it's a zone blocking scheme, and he's a one-cut dart runner. Kerryon likes to shake. Ty Johnson runs a 4.26 or something, strong as a horse. So really feeling Ty Johnson. If you have Kerryon Johnson, you better cuff him with Ty. Plus, the other thing is, too, Philadelphia is so bad on the corners. They are the most generous secondary that what is a team going to do? They're going to exploit the other team's weakness. So I could see both Golladay and Marvin Jones having a good game against those Philadelphia corners. I think Marvin Jones is a really nice sleeper for DFS. He's been quiet. He hasn't been getting a lot of targets, but all it takes is one, bomb, 50-yard pass, and all of a sudden, you got yourself, 13, 14 points. So Marvin Jones, sneaky play, especially in DFS. Eagles, they're banged up. Already Deshaun Jackson is not going to play this game. Jeffrey's a toss-up. Be on the lookout for that. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Curious to see what he does. But if Jeffrey's not playing, he could be matched up against Slay. Might be a tough matchup, but might get some volume. And like I said, guys, even against the toughest corners, if you get enough volume, you're going to score points. So he is a sneaky DFS. I don't know if it's sneaky, because he's going to have a low ceiling. So he's a dart because he's got a low floor and a low ceiling, but he might be decent, especially if Jeffrey's out. Goddard is another one. I doubt he plays, but he's questionable right now. This could be a Nelson Aguilar game. The ball's got to go somewhere. Now Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz going to eat. Detroit, this is their weakness is against the tight end, because they're really good. They have Justin Coleman defending the slot. They got Darius Slay. They got a good pass rush. Detroit is a very, very, very good defense. They are a defense that even in a tough matchup, they could get points. They're a defense, if you have them, you can play them every week, because even if they give up points, they'll get sacks, they'll get turnovers. They're very, very good, very underrated. So Nelson Aguilar, I think, is a decent play. Just, again, not a great matchup, but he's going to get a ton of value, especially if Jerry frees out. I do prefer Nelson over J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. He's going to be playing the slot. Justin Coleman is not as good as Darius Slay. Panthers cards. I did some research on this guy, Kyle Allen. Originally, I thought, man, Kyle Allen, backup quarterback on the road. He actually looked pretty good last year, week 17 against the Saints. The Saints starters played for most of the game, is what I'm hearing, what I read. I didn't watch the game. I went back and I saw some of the highlights, and he made some really nice throws. What I liked about it, as crazy as this sounds, Kyle Allen might be an upgrade over Cam Newton. Remember, guys, Cam's value was him being a running quarterback. Cam was never a good quarterback. He was never good for receivers. This guy can actually be a plus if you're a DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel owner. DJ Moore had a really good game that week 17 game. I think he had like 80-something yards. I forget how many receptions, but he had a pretty good game. And then Curtis Samuel scored a touchdown against the Saints, who had a really good secondary, especially at the end of the last year. And allegedly they played most of their starters. I think he had 228 yards, 2 throwing touchdowns, including one to Samuel, and a rushing touchdown. So this guy, Kyle Allen, could be a sneaky play in DFS. The Cardinals are horrible in the secondary. He has a rivalry with Kyler Murray, supposedly. He's from Arizona, so he's a sneaky DFS play. DFS, keyword DFS, not league play. And I don't think you're going to bench, put it like this, I don't think you're going to bench DJ Moore or Curtis Samuel because of Kyle Allen. I think it might be a good thing that he's the quarterback because Moore played good with him. So I like him. CMC, we don't know if this Arizona run defense is for real. But anyway, you're playing CMC. But it's going to be a good test. And CMC also kills you in the passing game. So CMC should have a nice game. And this one going to be really interesting for Kyler Murray because Panthers have been a really, really good defense, particularly against the passing game. They have shut down Goff. Then they shut down Winston. Let's see if they shut down Murray. DJ, the Panthers have been pretty generous, surprisingly, to running backs. So DJ might be in for a decent game. Fitz and Kirk, you're starting just based on the volume alone. So I definitely think, you're starting both of those guys. But, temper expectations. I think they have low ceilings, but based on volumes, being at home, safe floor. Just like Murray, not a great game. He's not going to blow it up, but he's throwing the ball so much. They run so many plays. Even last week against Baltimore, he got 16 points. Not great, but he threw for 349 yards on that Baltimore defense on the road. So Murray is not my favorite starter, but he should still give you a decent floor. Giants and Bucks, the Daniel Jones era. I do think it's a plus for Barkley. However, surprisingly, not so surprisingly, the Bucks have been pretty well. The Bucks have been a really good defense. That's surprisingly, but they've been really good, especially good against running backs. Barkley is Barkley. I do think he is better with Daniel Jones because Eli sucks. People saying that Eli should be a Hall of Famer. Really grinds my gears. He had like one good season, one all right season. The rest were mediocre to bad. He led the league in interceptions before. And this was before he got old. Eli, anyway, I had to let that out because I like the Giants. I'm from New York. But take away those 2 Super Bowls, and nobody's even remotely considering him for the Hall of Fame. And the defense won those. And then Tyrese doing some crazy. Anyway. Eli sucks. I like Daniel Jones. I think this is really good for Evan Ingram owners. Really like him. Bucks can be had at the tight end position. And Barkley and Ingram. Shepard, if you want to put him in a flex, but nothing that I'm overly excited about. Lost my train of thought. I'm starting all Bucks. I think this is a Mike Evans game. Guys, it's week 3. It's time. Will the real Mike Evans please stand up? I think he does this game, guys. At home, Janoris Jenkins, he's beatable. So really think Evans, really like him for a breakout game. If you could buy low, this might be your last chance. O.J. Howard. I think O.J. Howard's a sneaky play. Hopefully if you got him. Remember, I have a 3-week rule.
You could stink it up 2 weeks, I'll give you a pass. You stink it up 3 weeks, it's a trend. OJ Howard for me is like Drake. This is his last week. Perfect matchup against the Giants. Bruce Arians said he's going to try to get him the ball more. He's a talent, playing a lot of snaps. I think this is OJ Howard's breakout week. Great DFS play if you got him. I would start him over some of you guys are like thinking about benching him for guys like Will Disley and, all these crappy names. No, guys. If it's not Hooper, Evan Ingram, Ertz, Kelsey, you're playing OJ Howard this week. I'm giving him one more chance. I'm a believer, guys. Talent over everything. I think this is his week. Winston is another one. You don't show me nothing against the Giants at home. We're done. We're done. I'll admit I'm wrong. I'll apologize to all of you guys. Sorry, Entourage, for telling you Winston is the truth, because he's a phony if he blows it against the Giants, damn it. Godwin's a must start. Too many people are asking me, should I start it? No. Just to clear the air, Godwin, Kupp, Boyd, every week starters, and Ridley. But again, if you're an Entourage, some of you guys got all of those guys. So that's what I got to say to you guys. So you got to bench one. So those are good problems to have. But you guys are going to lose games because your team's too good. Because you're going to be wrong. Because one of those guys is going to go. It's hard. They're all so good. Texans and Chargers. This might be a Hyde game. I hate Hyde, but he's actually looked pretty decent. I don't know. I don't get I really don't get how this happens. Hyde has looked horrible 2 years. All of a sudden he gets the Texans and he looks sprout. Like something got into him. And it's not just the offensive line. Like him. He's looked like he's had some burst. Chargers are terrible against the run. They're good against the pass. I could definitely see Hyde getting his first touchdown. So I like him as a flex this week. I do think this could be a Will Fuller game. I don't like Kiki Kuti. Obviously, D-Hop is D-Hop. And Casey Hayward got ate up last week. So, but I do think Will Fuller, because Casey Hayward's at least good. Not great, good. And Desmond Keene is great. He covers the slot, so you can forget about that, which leaves Fuller. Fuller's been quiet. Fuller's another one. You don't show me nothing 3 straight games. Like, we're done. So this Fuller's a sneaky play, but I said that last week, but we'll see. That's their weakness, though. They got a good number 1 corner. They got the best slot corner besides Chris Harris. It's debatable. And then so that leaves Will Fuller. So Hyde and Will Fuller are my – and, for the Chargers, it's all about Allen and Eckler. So nothing much to say there. Allen's getting crazy volume. Eckler is too. You like both. Steelers and Juju. I think a lot of my guys, our guys, Entourage guys, are going to break out this week. One of them being Juju. I think Mixon, I really like, as bad as he plays, like remember, guys, I'm not a stats guy. I go by the eye test. And he averaged like 1.7 yards per carry or something, Mixon, but he didn't get a ton of value. He played 50% of snap, but he looked good. And Buffalo is not San Francisco. And he's going to get a lot more carries or a lot more playing time. I think Mixon is going to break out, and I think Juju is going to break out. Williams for the Niners is one of the most horrible slot corners in the NFL. They're really good everywhere else. Juju, it's time, buddy. I think Juju breaks out this game. I think Juju breaks out. Connor, not a great game. You're starting him based on volume. Rudolph, I like Mason Rudolph, but this is going to be a real test. The Niners are one of the best defenses, and I said this going into the season. The Niners were one of my Super Bowl sleepers, not my favorite. Philly, then Green Bay, then Niners were the pecking order. But I love the Niners offense, and I love their defense. They got crazy pass rushes. D Ford, they got Bosa, who's been a beast. I forgot what the stat was, but I think he's got like the most quarterback pressures or something as a rookie. And then what's the other guy? They got a Buckner. So crazy good defense. The weakness is Juju. So Mason Rudolph, I think he's going to play decent, though. I think he could have like 228, 2 touchdowns. You know, it's going to be a real test. But I do think he could be decent. Hold up, guys. I didn't realize my computer is low. It's going to be a real test. We're going to find out. This guy on the road against one of the best defenses is for real, but I wouldn't start Mason Rudolph. Niners, it's tricky. Pittsburgh's been pretty bad against the tight end. We saw Disley score 2 touchdowns against them last week, but they bring in some reinforcements. Thomas Patrick, great safety, coming in from the Miami Dolphins. We'll see how much that affects the Pittsburgh defense. That could be a big game changer, so I'm a little weary. Pittsburgh's been really bad in the secondary, getting torched by everybody. So Debo, it's a little risky, but you got to imagine him or Goodwin. I like Debo more because Goodwin we saw basically a home run hitter, deep threat, caught 3 balls. One of them was a 60-yard bomb, but Cincinnati's one of the worst. Pittsburgh's been pretty bad, but again, Fitzpatrick might be a difference maker there. So it's going to be curious to see because, again, Pittsburgh's been really bad against the tight end, but will Minka control Kittle? So I'm not in love with it. On paper, the matchup looks amazing, but that's why stats lie, because stats don't take into consideration the acquiring of Minka Fitzpatrick. So Kittle, you're starting him, but Niners receivers are going to be really boom or bust. Debo, as good as he looked, as good as he played last week, he was only involved in like 40 to 50% of the snaps. So he's risky, but he does garner flex consideration. I like him over Goodwin. Saints and Hawks. This one's going to be low scoring, I think. Hawks are not the type of team to light it up. I mentioned this in the lives last week. Russell Wilson's like the type of quarterback that he plays to the competition. Like if the other team's scoring, then he'll keep up. But if the other team's not scoring, then he won't score that much. It's really weird. He's great, but he's just a winner. He's not always the best and most reliable fantasy quarterback. And I don't think the Saints are going to put up a lot of points at home. So I'm not crazy about, or on the road. So I'm not crazy about Russell Wilson this game. Lockett, weird. I think he had 2 targets the first week. He did score a 44-yard touchdown. But then last week, I think he had like 12 to 13 targets. But he's playing the slot. He's playing the slot, which means you'll probably avoid Lattimore, which is not like Lattimore's a shutdown cornerback, but he's solid. So I do like Lockett this game at home against the Saints defense that could be susceptible to the deep ball. Metcalf, he's getting a lot of volume. I think he garners flex consideration, has looked really good. We'll be lining up against Lattimore. That's going to be a fun matchup because both are physical players. So he's okay. Not a good Chris Carson game. Haven't really liked what I've seen out of him. Penny might be injured though, so he might get increased volume. You're playing Chris Carson because he is getting a lot of volume, and he is getting a lot of volume in the passing game, which is nice, but hasn't looked particularly good, but you're playing him. This is not a Kamara game. You can't run on Seattle. It's going to be a lot easier to key in on Kamara. So I don't really like Kamara. I don't think Kamara is an RB1 without Breeze. I'm sorry. It's the way I feel. Breeze, that system makes Kamara. Kamara is not elite by himself. I'm sorry. That's the way I feel. He's not going to get more than 13 carries because Breeze is out because he can't. He's not built like that. Sorry. It's the way I feel. I do like Michael Thomas, though. Michael Thomas, Hawks, as good as they are up front, they're horrible in the secondary, horrible against the slot. They lost Coleman. So this could be a big Michael Thomas game. He's going to get a ton of targets, a ton of volume. Don't know if he scores because it's Teddy Bridgewater. He's a game manager, but he's a good player. Rams and Browns. Another game where we look at these teams as high scoring. You know what I'm saying? But Goff, he is the definition of a system quarterback. And I think I'm going to make a separate video about this, but I'll give you a little preview. Guys, the most important thing is talent. Talent over everything. That is my quote. I need to trademark that shit. The second most important thing is systems. Zach Taylor quarterbacks coach for the Rams last year, came over to Cincinnati. Dalton is a top 5 quarterback. The same Dalton that everybody made fun of. Goff with Jeff Fisher looked like he was going to be out of the league. Zach Taylor comes in, all of a sudden, Goff is like the highest paid quarterback. However, this is why systems is the second most important thing and talent is first. What happens when Goff plays a real defense? We saw it in the Super Bowl. We saw it against Chicago. Goff is a product of a system the same way Zach Taylor now is making Dalton look like the AFC Goff. Dalton's about to be exposed on Sunday when he plays Buffalo. Goff is not a good quarterback, and the Rams have a really good defense. This is going to be a low-scoring game. Despite the playmakers on both sides of the ball, it's going to be a low-scoring game. Don't start Goff. Gurley, it's okay. RB2 maybe. But I think Kupp is the safe play. Kupp is amazing. Because, again, you have such an advantage when you're playing in the slot and going against the team's third corner. Most teams don't have one good corner, let alone 3. And then you're 6'4", and Kupp is good. But imagine this mammoth of a man, 6'4", going against his little 5'10" corner. So Kupp is a good play. I keep saying Kupp, whatever. Kupp is a good play. I would imagine Brandon Cooks gets the Denzel Ward treatment, but here's an interesting stat. Denzel Ward has actually been torched this year. They've caught, I think, don't quote me on this, but similar, I think 7 out of 12 passes for 123 yards and a touchdown on Denzel Ward, which is surprising. Especially since the teams they played against were playing with Mariota and a third-string quarterback, the Jets and the Titans. So not exactly, Hall of Fame quarterbacks. So that's going to be interesting. So Cooks, you got him. He's one of those guys. He's pretty much a must start. He's not Juju and, Devontae Adams or even that second tier where I got Godwin, Kupp, Boyd, those guys. But chances are you're starting him, but it's risky. Woods, you're starting him too. But, one of those guys is going to have a good game. It's just the nature of the beast. They have 3 studs. And Goff, he's going to stink it up. But, it's the NFL. Nobody shuts down everybody. But just saying, temper your expectations. Same thing with OBJ. OBJ is OBJ. Bright lights. I'm sorry, but Talib, Peters, they're good corners. You ain't stopping OBJ. But overall, they have a good defensive scheme. Wade Phillips has been a sorry coach, but one thing he can do is coach defense. And he's a great defensive coordinator, arguably one of the best in the league. So OBJ, I still think he could be OBJ, but it's, temper expectations. Landry could be a sneaky play, though, because he plays inside the slot, so he won't be seeing Talib or Peters. And like I said, they're good corners. I like Talib more than I do Peters, but they're not shut down. But Landry could be a sneaky play, especially now when the Njoku out. They got Harris, but he's more of a blocking tight end. So Landry, sneaky play. Love Nick Chubb this game. I love Nick Chubb, and I love him this game because 17 carries the first game, 18 carries the second game, 4 targets. We look at Nick Chubb. Well, he's only been playing about 60% of the snaps, and he's not getting the third down, back roll, but he's still got 4 targets, and he's doing something with him. He's catching him. He's shaking. He's baking. And as good as the Rams are in the secondary, they could be had against the run. CMC tore their ass up. First game, he had 35 points. Coach said he wants to get Nick Chubb the ball more. Nick Chubb, I love me. You see how excited I get about Nick? I love Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb and Barkley are my 2 favorite players. And it's not just me being – they're just great. I love the way they play. They're big. They're fast. Just the way Nick Chubb shakes, when he catches the ball and to be that big. And he's just awesome, guys. And they run his own scheme. So Nick Chubb's the one player. Make him your captain for your DFS lineups. All right, now, how does this game get on Monday night? The Redskins and the Bears, I just want to vomit. Mitch Trubisky. Ah, he sucks. I liked Anthony Miller, man. I liked him. He's 5'10" with a 39-inch vertical leap, pretty fast, like 4'4", 4'5", something like that. Great athlete. But Mitch, Allen Robinson, I told y'all not to draft him because of Mitch. Montgomery's going to suffer because of Mitch, but I love Montgomery this game. Oh, Montgomery. I think Redskins are giving up over 5 yards per carry. Montgomery. He's like Chuck, getting really excited. That's my third guy. So, yeah, it's a Montgomery game. Can't trust anybody else. Robinson has a good matchup. He's going to get a ton of volume. He presents a safe floor. But Mitch Trubisky, oh, my gosh. Oh! Sorry, guys. He's such trash. I've been telling you guys he's trash. You know who I can't stand? I can't stand Mitch Trubisky, Cam Newton, Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, because they're guys that they've had huge games, but they stink, especially against good defenses. I had to say Phillip Rivers got a little bit of that in him, and Drew Brees as well. Don't at me, because you can't, because I'm on YouTube Live. I've been saying that about Drew Brees, and people get so angry. But it's true. Take them outside. Matt Ryan, too. Take them out of their little comfort zone. Their domes. Put them on the road. Put them against good defenses. They're not the same. That's why I like Rodgers, Brady, Pat Mahomes. Who else? Not a lot. You put them anywhere. They always come through. Russell Wilson's another one. Russell Wilson's the opposite. He stinks it up against bad teams. Makes no sense. But so for this game, long story short, you're starting Monty, you're starting Allen Robinson. Not that I'm a fan. McLaurin, based on volume, he's got flex consideration. I mean, he did. I think Bears is going to be harder against the Bears than the Cowboys. He did eat up Byron Jones, but Kyle Fuller is a great cornerback, but he could be had. But when you combine all the other factors, meaning the Bears pass rush and Khalil Mack. So I don't think I'm starting any Redskins. McLaurin, like I said, flex consideration. Chris Thompson, because hopefully Mitch Trubisky could do something. If you can't, I'm sorry, man. You can't do it against the Redskins, dude. Like, really, just bring in Chase Daniels. He sucks, but at least, I don't know. Chris Thompson is a flex dart because hopefully the Bears blow them out and then they're down and then they got to go to Chris Thompson. You might get some cheap passes because you're not going to run on them. This is not an AP game. So that's that, guys. Again, a reminder, I have affiliation with Drafters, super fun, drafters.com, promo code FFRapper, and they will match. You put in 20, they match for 20. If you don't want to put in 20, you want to put in 10, just put in 10. You still use my promo code. You still get, I still get credit. I still help you guys pick your picks. Like, we can win money together. That's what's cool about it. Nobody's offering that. The other thing is Draft. Draft app, you put the promo code FFRapper. I will help you build your lineups. There's nobody in the industry. Everybody says, put in my promo code so I can get credit. I say, put in my promo code, and I'm going to be responsible. I'm going to help you. I like helping people. I like teaching. That's what I do. Anyway, guys, if you have any questions, comment down below. Follow me at fantasyfootballrapper or on Twitter. I am FFRapper. If you want to get into my Facebook group, this is the last chance. It's only $10 for the whole season. DM me on that, guys. Until next time, good luck this week. Peace. I'm out.